All right, so now we're going to be to section 7.4. This is going to be a little bit more just additional on top of conversions. And this time I'm going to actually board, okay, so you can actually can see some of the conversions and how to do the cross method. Um, this is one of the examples in the book that you can, I don't forgot what page it was on, but if you look in section 4, this is a good, obviously you can have your book when you test, so you don't really need to necessarily write these down in your notes, but you might want to put a little tab on that page once it's come time for you to test or do your quiz to have these conversions. And you notice that a lot of these a lot of them have one with it. So to remember when I told you to, when you divide, you're looking for these numbers: 12, 3, 500, 5,280, 16, 2,000. You look at the location of these numbers here in your cross method. If these numbers on the right side or on the bottom, we're going to divide the given part and these conversions together. There's sometimes where the one this time is on the bottom and these numbers to the right on top. Well, if they're both on top of the conversion or the cross method, we're going to multiply. So those are one of the two sentences that I wanted you to write down earlier when it comes to conversion. So notice that the 12 is on top. So this means we were to multiply. This right here, the 12 is on the bottom. This on top, multiply, and so forth. So it's going to be random times where it's either going to be on the top or the bottom. So bottom means divide, top means multiplication. So this is just a recap of what we just talked about for as a cross method when we use this. So again, I want everybody to try to convert themselves. And I'm going to go ahead, and I know everybody does not know the conversion from ounces to pounds, but in 1 pound, there are 16 ounces. So if you don't mind going ahead on a scrap sheet of paper, doing the cross method or whatever method you choose, and to solve how many pounds are in 26 ounces. So 1 pound equals 16 ounces. That's the conversion that was on the chart that everybody kind of needs to know. So just for filling out purposes, in this case here, let's go with Deanna. Deanna, what I'm going to put in the top left hand corner for my given in that problem I just had? What was given in that problem? Then Deanna, your mic's on? Yeah, I can see it's on now. Give it a try again. I can't hear you. So they didn't set it up as a cross method, but again, it'll be the same thing. If I put a cross like right down here and then put it through here, this ounces crosses out with this ounces. That's what you want to do. You want these ounces to go away because we're trying to get to pounds. So the only thing left over is pounds on top, and that's what we're looking for. So we take the 26 divided by 16 and get 1.625. So here's another one. So $1 is equal to 12.99 Mexican pesos. So we want to know what is the amount of US dollars if it's 2,500 pesos. So go ahead and set it up. Put your given, your given part to the bottom right hand corner with first the same, and then what we're going to on top, and then that will help you understand should we divide or multiply. And Lisbeth, this is going to be yours for you to help the group out. So here is my given, 2,500 pesos. We're going to take these out and cancel. And then we have the relationship between $1 US dollar equals 12.99 pesos. And we're going to take them to divide. So it's $192.46 as far as US dollars is once we convert it. So for this particular one here, I want everybody to kind of put their pencils down and trying just to follow along what I'm doing with this one, so you won't be writing and trying to listen at the same time to make sure we have the right answer for it. So what we need to do is we're going to convert 7 miles per hour to yards per second. So basically, my final answer needs to look like yards per ounce. This word per means divide. So basically, on top, I need to have yards. So when I'm finished crossing out things, whatever is not crossed out on top needs to be a yard. So I don't care where box is in. It just doesn't. It need to be left. The only thing that's not crossed out on top is going to be yard. Seconds is the next thing on the bottom that needs to be crossed out. So we're going to start off with 7 per hour. So 7 miles per. That's my divide hour. So 7 per hour. Now I told you before, leave this blank because we never had a per, but this time we're going to fill it in with hours on this part. So in order for this miles to cancel out, guess what needs to go in this bottom right hand corner? Some kind of a miles. So 1 mile is equal to 5,280 feet. So look here, this one cross out with this one. Now, am I done with the problem? No, because what is this in? Feet per hour. This is not what I want. I don't want feet per hour. I want yards per second. So that means I got to keep going. So here I need to get rid of this feet. So how do you get rid of this feet? I'm going to make it diagonal and put it on top. So in 1 yard, there are 3 feet. Again, you don't have to memorize these conversions. They have it. You have it with you off to the side, but you just need to know if I need to get rid of feet, I need to have it diagonal. So that one will cross out with this one. So what my final answer looks like now if I were to stop? It'll be yards per hour. I do not want yards per hour. I want yards per second. So this hour has to go. I need to convert this hour to seconds so I have it at the bottom. So I put the hour on top this way because why? They're diagonal. One here, one up top, one up here. So long as they diagonal like that, you can actually cross them out. What's the relationship between hour and second? Well, we probably won't know that offhand, but the one we do know is hour and minutes. There's 60 minutes in 1 hour. So guess what happens to the hour now? That one crosses out with this one. So what if I stop here? I have yards per minutes. Again, I'm looking for yards per second. So I'm good on top. So I'm thumbs up on top. It's just this bottom one is keep throwing me off. I need to keep going because this bottom part needs to be in what? Needs to be in seconds. So again, I put the minute on the top because again, you have to have that diagonal for cancel out. And what's the relationship between minutes and seconds? Well, there's 60 seconds in 1 minute. So y'all see how this cancels out now? Thumbs up, shaking your head. So this one cancels out with this one here. So now what am I left with at the end? Yards on top and seconds on the bottom. So that means I don't need another conversion. I can stop and now do the math. So if I multiply 7 times 5,280 times 1 times 1 times 1, which I told you to ignore, because what's 1 times anything? It's just whatever that is, right? So you don't really need to focus on the ones. 7 times 5,280 is 36,960 yards on top. What about the bottom? The only thing we multiply together is the 3, the 60, and the 60, and it's 10,800. So now we have this on top. We multiply everything on top. This here, we multiply everything on the bottom. Now I can reduce this part here by dividing it, put it in our calculator. If you put 36,960 in your calculator, divide it by 10,800 and hit math, enter, it reduces it for you for a fraction, or it'll change it to a decimal like so. So if it needs to be in a fraction, you keep it math enter. But if you just want to divide it to get yards per second, you just hit divide and hit enter, and you should get 3.42. So we have 60 miles per hour, and we want to convert it to feet per second. So go ahead and write 60 miles per hour, and then write feet per second. I'm gonna go back to the other slides to kind of give you a little bit of, just in case you need it. So the bottom right left-hand corner here is some of the conversions that you might need for to convert the problem I just gave you. So here they showed you how you can cross things out, miles down here, hour up here. The only thing left is feet and seconds. Now they did something a little different. They knew that in 1 hour there are 3,600 seconds. I'm not expecting you to know that because we did 60 times 60. What's 60 times 60? 3,600. If you knew that 1 hour has 3,600, yeah, 3,600 seconds in it, you can skip that 60 part and just put that straight in. It does not matter to me. But they just knew it and they did it this way. So 60 times we gave you this on top, divide it, and we get 88 feet per second. I think I see in the box that somehow we got a lot of the understanding. Devin, remember on the bottom, 60 times 60, if you put that in your calculator, it gets 3,600. Again, we're not multiplying the miles in a second, so we're just doing 60 times 60. Because remember, we crossed out the miles. We don't need that part. When we cross them out, we cross them out. We just focus on the numbers. So it's just 60 times 60. But yes, to answer your question, that's what it is. So another part, this will help you in the lab. So when you see a problem like this in my MathFast Plus, this is called a two-part problem. In a two-part problem, we have something that's missing here and then something's missing here. That's why it's called two parts. So this part here and this part here, both of them are missing. For this one here, we need the help of 3 feet equals 1 yard. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put down, this is not the cross method. This is just a new method that I developed, a two-part problem, and this is for using your calculator. So 100 feet, we're going to write this first, 100 feet. Then we're going to divide. And what we're going to divide it by is the unit that's given into the chart. So in this case here, 3 feet equals 1 yard. So we're going to do 3 feet. If you want to follow along by putting this in your calculator, you can kind of do the step by step in your calculator. You can kind of see what I'm talking about instead of writing it. So divide 100 divided by 3, and this is what you should get in your calculator. 33.33 with a bunch of 3's on the end. So the next thing we're going to do is subtract. So the first step in the two-part problem is divide, then we're going to subtract. So what are we subtracting? Whatever number is in front of the decimal is what we're going to subtract. So if this was a 45, we take this and minus it by 45. So what are we trying to do? We're trying to get rid of everything in front of the decimal and just work with the decimal number. So basically, I don't need this number because later on, we're going to say the number for 33 actually goes in the first part. And I'll show you that in a minute. So again, the sentence you need to write down for this one is whatever number is in front of the decimal, we're going to subtract the number. So we can just focus on just the decimal in our calculators. The last step, we're going to multiply. And what do we multiply by? 3 feet. This number here that we divide by and the number we multiply must come from the same conversion up here. So these numbers are going to be the same every single time. So whatever we get from our conversion, we make sure we put into the top of here when we divide. And so this is the middle number is the only one that's going to change because depending on what the number is in front of the decimal, is what this number is going to be. So that's going to flip-flop and change. So once we multiply here, we should got 1 for the answer. So 33, whatever we subtracted by, goes in the front part of the answer, and then goes into the second part of the answer. That's why this is called a two-part problem. 3 steps to remember: divide, subtract, multiply. Divide, subtract, multiply. For this particular case here, we have a physician prescribed for 5 grams of medication per day for a patient. The medication comes in 500 milligrams tablets. So the one tablet is equal to 500 milligrams. Determine the number of 500 milligram tablets the patient must take to achieve a daily dose. So once again, if we do the cross method, because we're trying to convert the milligrams into a tablet, how many tablets we know that 5,000 milligrams is going to be converted to the relationship they have for here. One tablet is equal to 500 milligrams that we got here. One tablet, 5. So you have one tablet on top, 500 milligrams here. So you see that this one here is diagonal to this one. That's why they cancel out. Now, where do we get the 5,000 from? Well, we have to convert this 5 grams into 1,000. So we take the G and move it 3 places to the right. 1, 2, 3. So we're going to take the decimal that's behind the 5, move it 3 places to the right. 1, 2, 3. We notice the decimal's on the end. So this is where we get 5,000 milligrams. And why do we need to know that? Because we're talking about the tablets being in milligrams, it's going to be helpful to know what the medication every day needs to be in milligrams. Grams is not going to help us with this problem. So it's better to stay in the same unit, and that's why we convert this grams to milligrams, because that's how the tablets are. So we divide these two, because this number is on top and this number is on the bottom. Ignore the 1 again. Divide them. We get 10 tablets is what the answer should be for this particular problem. So the tablet is the only thing left over after these cancel because they're diagonal.